Let's look at some players we recommend trading for and trading away.
All right, let's start with Igor Shesterkin of the New York Rangers, a goalie that, when you look at the two goalies the Rangers have, him and Jonathan Quick, you go, okay, well, one of these guys is 38 years old, and one of them is one of the best goalies in the league, but one of the best goalies in the league happens to be that 38-year-old. So, what are your thoughts here of Igor Shesterkin?
Yeah, we know that Peter Laviolette, I don't know what he was doing last week when he had to say, Shesty's our guy, as if there was an idea that he wasn't. To me, that was ironically more likely to create a goalie controversy. Yes, Jonathan Quick, he's had his moment this year, but that happened last year too. In small bits of time, he can still get hot, and then he regresses to being the almost 40-year-old goaltender that he is. He's not a real threat to Shesterkin, and we know Shesterkin working with Benoit Allaire to sort of iron out his skills over the break. I'm not worried about him. He's been too good for too long. So to me, just when you have a goalie as good as Shesterkin, who's still young, who's still in his prime, as far as we know, he's healthy, and that save percentage is he's barely keeping that thing in the 900 range. I still like him as a buy low down the stretch, and I think he can figure it out. And I just, in this case, it's betting on talent. I would try to get him if I didn't have him.
All right. Alex Ovechkin. It's obviously been a difficult season for him this year, but he's kind of back on a hot streak right now, which I think has got to be good. Obviously, not a lot of great things going on with Capitals this season, and some of his scoring help not around anymore with Kuznetsov off. But what are your thoughts here, Ovechkin?
Yeah, I wrote in my notes, no fair, because I was planning out this episode several days ago, and I put Ovechkin down as one of my trade recommendations, and he's scored in every game since. So now it's like, it looks like I'm late to the party. I wasn't. I was telling people several days ago when I put out the top 300 a couple weeks ago, actually, to trade for him, just for the record. I want to make sure that's established. And to me, it's just the shooting percentage is so low. Yes, he's regressing. That's obviously true. But when you're shooting 6% and you are playing the third most power play minutes per game in the NHL, which he was as of the All-Star break, it's just the role itself is too strong for you to not eventually start scoring. So yes, he's not going to score 50, but he might finish with 25 goals. And I think he'll score. He might score at a 40-goal pace in the second half of the season. I could totally see it. And then you factor in the shots and the hits if you're in formats that count those categories. And I think he can be pretty valuable. I think he can be a top 100 player, maybe even a top 50 player for the last month or two of the season.
Okay. And the last one for this part here is Clayton Keller of the Arizona Coyotes. Why should people be trading for him?
Yes, Clayton Keller, career before the All-Star break, 0.74 points per game. After the All-Star break, 0.87 points per game. Different player. He's just established himself for whatever reason as a second half player. Last year after the All-Star break, he had 45 points in 32 games. He was the definition of a league winner last year. And it just seems to be his career pattern. He's also got Barrett Hayton coming back. And like I said earlier, I'm expecting that line eventually to get a crack together again. So I think there will be a Clayton Keller hot streak before the season is over, and that could propel you in your playoffs.